And you're good to start.
Thank you. So hello everybody and welcome. Today is June the 16th, 2021. I'm Bruce Weir and today we're holding a special meeting of the DNA Subcommittee to finalise our discussions with ESR and issue a letter to the Commission on Forensic Science regarding our opinion on the topics addressed in the letter sent by former Commission member David Loftus. Today's meeting will be conducted by video conferencing. We will use a roll call to conduct our business. At this time, I'm going to ask each member to state their name and reply present as we take attendance to establish a quorum. So I am Bruce Weir and I'm present. Dr. Beaver.
Frederick Beaver, present.
Dr. Souza. Not yet. Dr. Eastman. Dr. Eastman. Allison.
I think you're still muted, Allison.
Allison Eastman here.
Thank you. Dr. Smith.
Jennifer Smith here.
Thank you. Dr. Gettings.
Catherine Gettings here.
Thank you. I believe Dr. Kidd is not joining us and Dr. Souza not at this point. So we have 5 members present. Is that a quorum, Dr. Zuma?
That is a quorum.
Thank you. So we've established a quorum. So you've always, excuse me. So we've all received.
Mandy's in.
Hi.
Dr. Souza, would you just tell us your name and confirm that you are indeed present?
Amanda Souza here.
Thank you. Welcome. So we have all our members except for Dr. Kidd. So we've all received the draft agenda for today's meeting. Is there any discussion regarding the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda for this meeting? Who would like to do that?
So
We approve the agenda for this meeting.
Dr. Beaver and Dr. Souza. Motion moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Dr. Gettings was the second, I believe.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, thank you. Dr. Beaver, Dr. Gettings, thank you. Any further discussion? So I'll call upon you for your vote at that point. When I call your name, please vote. My vote is aye. Dr. Beaver.
Fred Beaver, aye.
Thank you. Dr. Souza.
Aye. Dr. Souza, aye.
Thank you. Dr. Eastman.
Allison Eastman, aye.
Thank you. Dr. Smith.
Jennifer Smith, aye.
Thank you. Dr. Gettings.
Catherine Gettings, aye.
Thank you. So the motion carries. Thank you. So we have, that's clearly an item of old business. We have, we've had before us, I've just lost my screen. Sorry. There we go. So we have before us a series of correspondence and events. We had a letter from October 26th last year from David Loftus from the New York State Forensic Science Commission, an email chain starting, we've had letters recently from ESR from May 16th and June the 2nd. And if I just may take a second just to summarize those events, as I guess we had a lot of stuff happening over the last several months. There was a subcommittee meeting on November the 6th last year where we received the letter from the Commission and a copy of a BioTwig report which led to that letter. The subcommittee asked that a letter be sent to ESR for information. On February the 5th of 2021, the subcommittee met and heard a presentation from Dr. Buckleton of ESR, and the subcommittee requested a letter be sent to ESR for further information. The committee received a letter on March the 10th with response from ESR to the Commission questions. That letter referred to and provided a document I was calling to ESR document A. It's entitled Testing Methods for Quantifying Monte Carlo Variation for Categorical Variables in Probabilistic Genotyping. A second letter about that period, April 23rd, 2021, from ESR included a second ESR report, Report B, entitled Revisiting the Star Mix Likelihood Ratio Probability Interval Coverage considering multiple factors. And we also received copies of a slide presentation for our May 7th meeting. So on May 7th, the subcommittee met. It reviewed the responses from the New York State labs, response to the HPD, the highest posterior density for the Monte Carlo effect on star mix calculations. The committee heard a presentation from Dr. Buckleton. There was a discussion by the subcommittee members with the decision for a special meeting to be scheduled, and that's where we are now. And the subcommittee members were invited to submit written questions to ESR. ESR responded to us on May 16th, 2021, with responses to the written questions. They included in those responses a copy of a star mix report. They also included an ESR publication by Dr. Kelly and others, published in the journal Wires Forensic Science 2020. They included another publication by Dr. Eldridge, not of ESR, published in Forensic Science International Synergy. And then quite recently, on June 2nd, 2021, a letter from Dr. Buckleton with further responses to subcommittee questions. So if you'll forgive me for having gone through that chain of events. And I'll just summarize that. So in our November 2020 meeting, we were asked by the Commission to consider the issue brought forward by the BioTwig regarding the highest posterior density tool of star mix. Former Commission member David Loftus provided a detailed letter with specific questions for the software developer ESR. Additionally, we determined that the laboratories utilizing star mix should describe how they had addressed the issue within their management systems. At our recent May meeting, we heard from ESR and the laboratories. Although the labs have provided us with enough information, we felt that it was important to hear from ESR on a few additional items. ESR has sent responses to our questions, and Dr. Buckleton has joined us today. So this is time for discussion, but I believe Dr. Buckleton is available, and maybe we should ask him if he has anything he'd like to present at this time. Dr. Buckleton.
I'm good, thank you, Professor Weir.
So thanks for joining us again, John. We appreciate that. We've received your written responses. Thank you. They were very, very helpful. Did you have anything that you'd like to say at this point? Any further comments or discussion items from you?
No, I'm happy to respond to questions from the committee, but no, nothing in particular new has happened.
Okay, thank you. So I'll open the floor to the committee members for discussion items, which may or may not include the questions for Dr. Buckleton. So who would like to go first? Dr. Beaver, I see you. Go ahead.
Yes, John, Fred Bieber here. I think the papers that you sent us are very important, and I would only urge you to reconsider whether or not your team wants to submit them for publication. I think if you find the right venue, you will achieve success in getting them published. And I think once published, they would be available to a wider audience. And I think it would be helpful to the forensic community. That's my main comment.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Bruce,
Yes.
Go ahead. Someone else can go first.
Okay. Amanda, you've got the floor. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to apologize because I kind of came into the meeting late, and we had some questions from the last meeting that I think we had said we had wished that Dr. Buckleton was still at the meeting. And I just wanted to make sure that those questions get addressed. And I don't know if other people remember what some of those questions were. I'm trying to pull them up on my computer now.
Amanda, did you see the response from ESR, which included the written questions we submitted? Did you see those?
Yeah, I'm just pulling them up now, but I think we had some other questions during the meeting. And did ESR's questions address the questions we had at the meeting?
Well, I'm not sure which ones you're meaning. I think that the written questions I saw were fairly comprehensive. If there was some specific item, please go ahead.
Can I add some? For this particular meeting, I don't remember what those other questions were, but for this particular meeting, the questions that we are addressing are the ones from the letter from the commission. Just want to make sure that we, per the bylaws, we have to stick to that topic. So to make sure that we don't go outside of that realm. So if, make sure that all our comments and questions pertain to that letter.
So, Amanda, I take it that you're asking a question which will help us frame our response to the commission. Is that correct?
Correct. I felt, and so I'm talking from memory. I'm just trying to pull the documents up, so I apologize. But we
maybe while you're doing that, I had one small
sure
for Dr. Buckland. So thank you again, John, for the report, and thanks very much for the copy of a star mix report, a typical star. I gather it was not a case. It was we might call it a typical star mix report, and that seemed to be consistent with your publications, and it certainly seemed to be the same in the various reports we got from the New York State labs. I just noticed in the report, if you could clarify, in the report you present likelihood ratios, calculated various ways per locus, allowing for relatives and so forth, and then and you list an FST value, and then you give the 99% HPD. So have those calculations changed at all as a result of all these discussions, or is ESR satisfied with that description of the HPD?
Then they're unchanged, and we're never satisfied. We're always seeking improvement. Your committee asked us to change the wording on the HPD, which we've done, and that unfortunately is now programmed into 2.9, and now I think you've asked us to undo it.
No, excuse me, John. I'm just going through the report that we got from you recently, and the question was not to be. I got you. The question was, the report gives a 99% HPD. Was that intended? Is that what you wanted to convey?
That's a fairly standard configuration, so yes, that's what we wanted to convey.
Okay, thank you. So, any other questions? Amanda, did you come up with your question?
I'm sorry, I'm still trying to look because I felt like there were questions that we asked. I'm still trying to pull the documents up. There were questions that we asked, and I felt like if John was on the phone, that he are still on the call, we would have been able to have those answered. And were those answered in a subsequent letter?
Well, like I said, the committee did send some written questions. I think they were comprehensive, and we've got Dr. Buckleton's responses, which seem also to be comprehensive.
So Bruce, I have a note, and yeah, I saw the questions, and I'm not sure who submitted what questions, but I'm guessing once that was from you, and I don't know if I'm missing or not, but from the meeting that we had, I have a note from back in May that you were asking if the 99% HPD is inclusive of the 3 levels of conservativeness, or if it is only reflective of the MCMC uncertainty. And I don't see that in the written questions, but maybe it's in there and just not in the language that I recognized it. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes, it does. I think so. Maybe Dr. Buckleton, did you want to have any response to that, just to clarify or remind us?
So first of all, there are a number of tick boxes that a lab can set up to have control over what comes out. However, in America, it's absolutely standardized to having all three.
Just for the record, John, just remind us what the three are, please.
So every lab in America at the moment puts allele uncertainty on, Monte Carlo uncertainty on, and includes usually a generous theta value.
Thank you. Which is what you call FST in your written report, I think.
I'm sure I had to change randomly and inappropriate.
The HPD, or that 99% HPD that we're talking about, includes all of the levels that are checked by the user. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes.
I think the discussion was that the impact of the MC uncertainty is maybe less than what we've all been thinking it is if you have these other levels of conservativeness as well that you're using. Does that make sense?
The final value is almost ubiquitously below the 99% lower bound if they're all checked.
So thank you, Dr. Giddings. That was helpful, actually. So yeah, thank you. That was helpful. Dr. B, were you getting ready to speak? You just popped up. Okay.
No, I'm okay.
So how are you getting on with your review? Dr. Sophie, did you have anything?
No, I'm gonna just abstain from this. I'm sorry that I can't pull my documents up right now.
Okay, but you can't recall anything that was not addressed to Dr. Buckleton's recent letters?
Not at the moment.
Okay. So I think the letters from ESR have been very good. I just want to say also, going back and rereading material, how impressed I was with the OCME report. It was very comprehensive, and the work that their lab did following this issue was well written. So I certainly congratulate the OCME on which I think is a very fine document. As were all the lab reports, but that one stood out.
So for Jill or Natasha, if I can clarify what is our next step is to respond to the letter from Mr. Loftus, right, to each of the points of that letter. So I think that's what we need to make sure we come out of this with, is everyone is comfortable with responding to those points. Is that right?
Let me read you a possible draft for such a motion. We might consider a motion to send a letter to the Commission in response to their request for a recommendation regarding the biotweak notification of an issue with the highest posterior density tool of Starmix. Specifically, our letter should say that all the questions from the Commission have been answered to the satisfaction of the DNA Subcommittee, and thus no further action by the Subcommittee or the Commission is needed. That would be a possible. So this is we are assembled here. This is an opportunity for anybody else to raise issues.
That's it. If I can raise that motion and then we can discuss it. Is that how we should do that?
That would be fine. So I'm going to, Dr. Giddings, let me just read this again, just so we're all clarified. So Dr. Giddings has moved that the subcommittee sends a letter to the Commission of Forensic Science in response to their request for a recommendation regarding the biotweak notification of an issue with the highest posterior density tool of Starmix. Specifically, all the questions have been answered to the satisfaction of the DNA Subcommittee, and thus no further action by the Subcommittee or the Commission is needed. We'll have a second for that motion.
I second it.
Who was that?
Jennifer.
Thank you.
And I would just add that all of these materials, if it's possible, be provided to them, because I think actually these answers to some of the questions are also important for people to see and read, to help kind of clarify.
So you say these materials and then you mean all the correspondence and then going to the commission.
Yes, yeah, I think it should be included for the labs to benefit, because I found it all very helpful to have the additional explanations.
So thank you. This is a big step. I mean, it's been a long and very helpful path, I think, we've undertaken, but we don't want to cut things short unnecessarily. So is there any further any discussion on the motion? I think the point's a good one, but the commission be provided with documentation. I did wonder, Dr. Dooley, if the subcommittee needs to prepare like a written synopsis, or the documents stand alone.
Bruce, has someone gone through question by question to make sure each question was answered?
Well, I certainly read them. Oh, yes, I mean, from the original letter from Dr.
Yeah, went back to the original questions and said, here's question 1, it's answered. Question 2, answered. Question 3, answered.
Well,
Has someone done that?
Well, yes, ESR did that. They gave detailed responses to all the questions, and I think our
Well,
task.
was every question answered?
Yes, it was.
Yes, and some of them were answered by the laboratories themselves, right, in their
In
presentation.
addition, yes. Now, so then so we have those responses, and I think our task is, in essence, to say that we agree with the responses.
If
And that
that's
was-
fine, yeah.
Helpful?
Go ahead. Dr. Giddens.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if we were responsible for writing a narrative that actually addresses them from the subcommittee, or
then
simply saying.
That's what I just asked. I just raised that issue with Dr. Dooley, and she can respond in a minute. Dr. Soji, did you have something to say?
No, I was going to ask if we should make sure that each, for the commission, that each and every question has an answer to it.
Yes, thank you.
Whether that be done by the labs or be done by ESR.
Thank you.
I think ESR's response initially does go question by question, and the ones that they do say are more relevant to the labs and they're answering, the labs then followed up with an answer on. So we do have responses to all the questions.
Dr. Dooley, can I press you on the need or the advisability of the committee preparing a detailed or a synopsis? I mean, either way is fine. There's a lot of material, and I'm just thinking, how could we best help the commission? I think if this motion was passed, in essence, we're saying that we are satisfied with the questions being answered by ESR and the labs.
Would the synopsis be similar to what you had started the meeting with, giving the
Yes,
background?
I
mean,
mean, it's a timeline, yeah, and which I found helpful because there was a lot of stuff.
So if I'm not mistaken, and Natasha, please speak up, they could always reference this recording. They do have access to this. It will be available to them. And so we would recommend that they view the special meeting, and then they could get that timeline. Is that correct, Natasha?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, the commission is asking, whether there's any further action to be taken by the subcommittee or the commission. If you feel everything's, good to go, then there really isn't a need, I don't feel, in my opinion, to really go into detail, because there are no issues. If there are issues, then that's a different story. But if everything's good to go, then you can say, we read everything, we've met with everyone, there's no further action to be taken.
Very well, thank you. Further discussion from there. Have we heard from everybody? I think we have at various times. This is an important issue, and I think it's an important issue. And I think we've found the labs and the ESRs have been responsive to our requests of ESR, to our multiple requests. All right, last call for further discussion. So I'm going to call for your vote, and I'm going to abstain to avoid any possibility of appealing to conflict of interest. My vote is abstaining. Dr. Beaver.
Frederick Bieber, I vote aye.
Thank you.
I approve.
Thank you. Dr. Kidd is absent. Dr. Souza.
I'm going to abstain. Amanda Souza abstains.
Thank you. Dr. Eastman.
Well, I have a question. I was not at the last meeting, but I did watch the video and parts of the video twice. May I still vote?
I think we've got, well, I don't know. I would think so, Dr. Natasha.
Yes, you can vote. You're not required to do anything you do not want to do. So if you want to vote, then you may vote.
Okay. Allison Eastman, aye.
Thank you. Dr. Smith.
Jennifer Smith, aye.
Thank you. Dr. Gettings.
Catherine Gettings, aye.
All right, thank you. So we have 4 votes of aye, 2 abstentions, and 1 absence. So I'm not sure what the rules are. So maybe our
You
parliamentarian.
still make the cut. You're good.
The motion
So-
carries.
So the motion carries. Thank you all for your help, and thank you again for attending today to the committee, the staff, and Dr. Buckleton. So our next meeting will be on August the 6th, 2021, virtually. And I gather from Dr. Dooley, our November meeting will also be virtual. So at this point, we'll have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Can I ask really quickly, when will this go out and when is the next commission meeting? And will, might we expect to hear anything back on this by August or?
So the next commission meeting, I'm looking at my calendar, September 17th. So we will not hear anything. The letter will go out prior to our next DNA subcommittee meeting. We won't hear anything from the commission. They won't take action on it until the September meeting.
Am I still on? Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. Was there some implication to your question, Dr. Giddings? I mean, was that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I'm calling for a motion to adjourn. We'll have such a motion. Dr. Smith.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. This is Amanda Souza.
Thank you. And
I second.
thank you. I didn't see who said aye. Smith. Was it?
Yep.
Thank you. All right, let me go through the roll call. I vote, Bruce Weir votes aye to adjourn. Dr. Beaver.
Frederick Bieber, aye.
Thank you. Dr. Eastman.
Allison Eastman, aye.
Thank you. Dr. Smith.
Jennifer Smith, aye.
Thank you. Dr. Gettings.
Catherine Gettings, aye.
Thank you. And Dr. Souza.
Amanda Souza, aye.
So the motion carries. We are adjourned. So